Welcome to the News Hour. Iran said today it has reopened the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping, a move President Trump quickly welcomed on social media. But even as traffic resumes, the president says the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports will remain in place.
But Iranian officials also said ships must follow designated restricted routes and in some cases must coordinate transit with Iran. In the meantime, there are new disagreements and competing claims over Iran's nuclear program days before a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is set to expire. And in Lebanon, the day-old truce between Israel and Hezbollah appeared to hold after weeks of intense fighting. Special correspondent Simona Foltin begins our coverage.
Tonight, both the U.S. and Iran claim that the Strait of Hormuz is completely open once again. President Trump and Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi announced that full passage of commercial ship traffic would resume through the critical waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil flows. Across the world, markets rejoiced and crude prices plummeted on the news. Iran said the reopening would last for the duration of the 10-day ceasefire in Lebanon. But there are still disputes. President Trump said that the U.S. naval blockade of the strait would remain in full force until Iran reached a sweeping deal with the U.S.
There's been reporting today that Iran says there's significant differences.
Well, there could be. Let's see what happens. If there are, we'll have to straighten it out. But I don't think there's too many significant differences.
On the blockade, Mr. President, yeah. What will it take to end the blockade?
When the agreement is signed, the blockade ends. As soon as the agreement gets signed, that's when the blockade ends.
For the president, that means Iran would give up its highly enriched uranium, what Trump calls nuclear dust. With such delicate diplomacy at stake, Mr. Trump also warned Israel not to return to fighting. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. The ceasefire announcement sparked cautious celebration in Lebanon last night. People poured into the streets, relieved for a moment at least, to get a respite from Israeli attacks that have killed more than 2,000 people. For hours, cars clogged roads leading south as many of the displaced returned. Mohammed and his wife Nadia couldn't wait to get back home with 4-month-old Adam, who survived his first war.
If I die tomorrow, I want to be buried on my land. We've suffered a lot during this war. To leave one's home behind is very painful.
Maybe we will be scared if we hear some sounds of war, but we don't have a choice. We want to go back to our land.
When they fled the bombing, there was fear they'd never be allowed to go back, as Israeli troops pushed north in a bid to occupy southern Lebanon. These cars are full of displaced families heading home. You can see some of the cars have mattresses and other belongings strapped to the roofs, and this is in spite of warnings by both the Israeli and the Lebanese government to stay away from areas south of the Litani where the IDF continues to operate. But people are anxious to get home. They want to check on their houses to see if they still stand after weeks of heavy bombardment, in what is also a message of defiance that they will not be forced from their land. The ceasefire before this one, agreed in 2024, failed to end the war. Israel violated the agreement on a near-daily basis, bombing villages in the south, even as Hezbollah held its fire. So you're going back now. Are you confident that the ceasefire will hold?
Not that confident, but the thing is, like, we don't have any other option. Our land, our home, our families, the neighborhood, everyone is going up. You know, like, this time it's not only about Lebanon, you know, it's like in the region, like between Iran, USA, Hormuz.
So you think that helps?
Yeah, and if it in the region, if it stayed like that, and Lebanon will, like, by default, the ceasefire will continue in Lebanon.
Not everyone is convinced that this regional war is about to end. After 6 weeks of intense fighting here in Lebanon, 10 days of pause don't seem like much, and even those will be filled with uncertainty whether ongoing talks will usher in lasting truce. These displaced families camping out on Beirut's waterfront have chosen to wait and see.
We want to finish with this war and go home. But these 10 days are for what? What are we supposed to do with 10 days? We go, and if there's a new war, we're displaced again?
Hussein's home in Beirut's southern suburbs is gone. It's one of more than 37,000 housing units destroyed in Israeli attacks.
Our house is no more. Where would we live? We'll stay here. We'll see what happens during these 10 days. If it goes well, we'll go back and rent an apartment. What else can we do?
People here don't trust that the Trump administration can push Israel to abide by the ceasefire.
They always say they want a ceasefire, but they hit us again. That's why we're afraid to go back. We have children. They're all liars without honor. They want to take our land and destroy everything.
Israel insists that Hezbollah must be completely disarmed, but many Lebanese feel that Israel's invasion was more about taking Lebanese land than Hezbollah's weapons. And Israel made it clear today that it has no intention of ever leaving.
The Israeli army holds and will continue to hold all the places it has cleared and conquered. The ground maneuver into Lebanon and the attacks on Hezbollah all over Lebanon have achieved many achievements, but have not yet been completed.
It's such words and actions that are reinforcing Hezbollah's popularity among Lebanon's Shia. Many believe that nobody else will try to stop Israel from annexing their land to become part of Greater Israel, a biblical concept often invoked by Israeli government officials.
They want Greater Israel from the river to the sea. They will not withdraw unless it's through force, through resistance. We want resistance. We don't want anything else. Israel won't leave otherwise. If I could, I would go fight in the south.
Many of Hezbollah's supporters reject the government's decision to enter into direct talks with Israel at a time when the IDF still occupies part of the country.
We reject it, of course. This is not negotiation, but capitulation. Israel doesn't abide by agreements or negotiations.
And that Israeli insistence on Hezbollah disarmament remains a controversial and sensitive subject in Lebanon, one that could ignite internal strife with not one, but two ceasefires hanging in the balance. For the PBS News Hour, I'm Simona Foltin in Beirut.